The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is warning the country's rising debt stock still remains a major threat to firmly stabilizing the economy. This is coming after the fund projected that Ghana will end the year with a debt-to-GDP ratio of 76.7% from the current 68%. This was captured in its Sub-Saharan African Regional Economic Outlook release in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, the latest data from Bank of Ghana puts the total debt stock ending July at 263 billion cedis. Ghana is currently classified as a high risk or at high risk of debt distress. Now, as you may be aware, there's this rumor that the World Bank and IMF have declared Ghana a highly indebted poor country, that is HIPC. But is that really the case? We'll hear from economist Dr. Said Boakye, but before that, let's hear from the Information Minister who rejected these claims at the latest nation-building updates held earlier today.
If you have followed media discussions in the last 24 hours, you will notice a new trend showing up. There are suggestions being spread, particularly on social media, that Ghana has been declared HIPC again. I'm sure you would have noticed that a lot of persons are sharing material on social media that whether the IMF or the World Bank has declared Ghana HIPC or has listed Ghana as one of the HIPC countries. And it is a suggestion that the economy is not in as good a shape as we claim it is. For the avoidance of doubt, and because we have also mentioned that we are aware that some persons in the weeks ahead of the election will seek to spread a lot of false information and fake news, it is important to quickly respond to it right here and right now. Categorically, we say to you that it is not true that Ghana has been declared HIPC or has been added to a list of HIPC countries. The Highly Indebted Poor Countries Initiative, or the HIPC initiative, was a particular program that was rolled out by the international organizations, the World Bank, the IMF, and donor partners somewhere around 2000.
Well, economist Dr. Said Boakye says the amount of money the country spends in servicing its debts should be a matter of concern to us rather than the amount of debt itself. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
It is very concerning, and the concern is not because you have debt. The concern is due to the fact that repaying it is becoming a problem. So that is a concern. But I want to talk about the HIPC thing.
Right.
First of all, like the information minister said, the HIPC was brought late in the 1990s. Ghana entered into it. It's not IMF or World Bank that declares you that you are happy to come for it. You yourself do the assessment. They have their criteria. You do your assessment and see whether you want to go for it or not. Ghana went for it, and I don't think there's a second round HIPC. And for that matter, Ghana does not qualify if even he wants to go for the debt relief. I don't think there's a second round. So that is it. If somebody says Ghana has been declared HIPC, IMF World Bank never declared a HIPC, but they have their criteria, and if you think that you meet the criteria, you apply for it. But getting back to the debt issue, yes, of course. One could argue that around 70s, the GDP, debt to GDP is not so much. But you should remember that the country's GDP has been rebased. It was rebased in 2010, it was rebased in 2018. So the GDP has been enlarged. And if your debt to GDP is so much, exceeding 70%, it means the debt burden is strong. But I don't want to look at debt to GDP ratio. I want to look at debt service expenditure to your revenue ratio. For you repay your debt out of the revenue you have. And that looks quite ugly. And it is very concerning.
Right, so my colleague George Riafe has been reporting on this development and joins me in the studio because he has been engaging the IMF and the World Bank on it. So I want to first of all start ask you, where is this rumor coming from?
Well, Israel, yesterday, if you recall, there was a program by the former President John Mahama. In his discussion, he raised the concern about the fact that based on our excessive borrowing, Ghana has now gone back to HIPC.
Okay.
This morning also, if you've been following, if you're a keen follower of the social media and stuff on WhatsApp groups, they've been flying around that Ghana is now HIPC. And some of the argument were that because our debt-GDP ratio, our debt in relation to the size of our economy, or if you look at the value terms, has crossed 70%. That means that based on that and that list that they saw on the IMF and the World Bank side, which gives an update or tells us that the countries that have been on this program, it means that Ghana, as of today, is HIPC.
All right. But what have you been finding out from...
So I sent some questions to the IMF in Washington, D.C. for some clarity on that. And in their response, they are saying that, listen, that is not accurate. Now, let's first start with the list.
All right.
They claim that, listen, since 1996 that this program came up, every country that has benefited from this high debt initiative program
ends up on the list.
Ends up on the list. So it's not taken off for reference sake, the completion date and all the rest. So that is updated as we go on. Now, as we speak right now, Ghana has completed that program. And there's no way Ghana can even qualify for any HIPC program or for Ghana to be put on the list that Ghana, as we speak today, is a highly debt initiative or benefit from the HIPC program. So that is inaccurate. And for people who want to look at that list and put their own spin on it, that is very unfortunate.
All right. So that is unfortunate. Yeah. So where is it that we find ourselves that people are suggesting that we're almost there or there?
If you go through the Bank of Ghana, and at that time, Israel, because if you are declared or identified as a poor country, the parameters are a little bit little. They're not that wide in terms of the variables that we use. And one of that, at that time, was looking at your debt to GDP ratio when it crosses 70%.
Yeah.
So when you are a poor country, the variables might not be that spread compared to you being a low middle income country. Now, recently, the IMF and the World Bank did their review of Ghana, and they said that we are now a low middle income country. So Ghana is no longer a poor country. So if you're a low middle income country, it's difficult for you to benefit from any of these debt cancellation and all those things and all those things.
Right, let me get this too. Does it mean that if you're a low middle income country and you have your debt to GDP threshold, even crossing the 70% mark, you still don't qualify?
You still don't qualify as a HIPC country
because you can't be a poor country.
Several, yes, you are right on that one. And there are several indicators that they want to look at. That is doing what they call the debt sustainability analysis. We are looking at your debt in relation to your revenue, your debt in relation to your expenditure, your debt in relation to export. There are about 7 of them, and debt GDP ratio is just one of them. Right. Now, after that classification was done, the fund, I think that's at the middle of this year, is classifying Ghana as a high risk of debt distress.
All right.
That you're going to get into a category where you may struggle to pay your debt on time. Now, since Ghana became an independent country, Israel, I stand to be corrected, Ghana may not have defaulted on their debt, even though the credit rating agencies will raise concerns about the likelihood and all the rest. At the end of the day, we end up paying our debt.
But sometimes we're forgiving.
Well, when we have to qualify for HIPC Israel. So as we speak right now, we may have an extension of the debt servicing period, but as debt cancellation, we are not going to get Israel.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. George Riafi has been dealing a lot with the IMF, and he's been attending spring meetings. And which meetings have you been attending?
All of them. But it seems that the fund also clarified that, listen, if anybody in future wants, they are always open to clarify this and then to take an information from their side and put your own spin on it. And it's very, very unfortunate that it has implications as well for the country as well. So listen, if Israel have a problem with the fund, you want some clarification, send an email. I sent this mail about 2 hours ago. And the next 1 hour, I had a response from the IMF.
All right. So as I indicated, George Riafi has been dealing with them. He's been hobnobbing with them. So if he tells you that he sent an email to them and they're saying that Ghana is not HIPC, I mean, you must believe him. Maybe you should share a screenshot of that.
Okay, I'll do that later.
So for JoyNews Prime at 7 p.m., George Riafi will share that screenshot of the email that he had from the IMF. Probably that will make you believe him a lot more.